So today I'm going to be talking about what I think may be the most important tip I have for people who are trying to improve at PvP. I do a lot of Crucible help and even some coaching, and this is something I've definitely noticed that separates the good players from the average players. I am awake, and let's get into it. Okay guys, today I'm going to be talking about knowing your win condition and even more importantly, your loss condition. This is something that you need to recognize in every single gunfight that you are in. Many players I see do not understand this concept at all, or at least are not able to put it into practice. Many of you guys who are better players will already be doing this, however, it's probably something that you never really thought about specifically, so hopefully this video will make you more aware of it and you'll start to actively think about it during your games. Now, what do I mean by win condition? It's just what it sounds like. It's basically what you need to do at a certain point in a fight to secure the win. So I have a few examples here to help demonstrate what I'm talking about. As you can see, I defeat this first enemy here on the outside. I notice that my radar, there is someone pushing me very hard. Now this is very bad for me as a sniper, so once I realize that he is too close to me, I know that my primary weapon will not be my win condition, because he's already too close and I have a hand cannon as my primary. So I immediately determined that the only way I'm going to win this is with my sniper. Now, is this a good shot you should be taking with a sniper? No, not really, but I know that this is my only win condition at this point in the fight since he's already gotten so close to me. I'm already in a bad spot, so I had to identify the only way that I'm going to get out of it, and oftentimes that's going to be your special weapon or your abilities, just because that's how the game works. A lot of the primaries don't really work in any range, and if you're not in your range, you can't win. So you can't use your primary for most of your fights if they're not in your range. So I immediately identify this and I know, okay, I need to use my sniper here. Now the next thing I realize is that he has a fusion. So I know that he has to charge it, and that gives me sort of a bit of breathing room here, and I can just land a body shot and a melee. Now if he had a shotgun, I would have needed to realize that and attempt to land a headshot instead of a body shot, because I know that I wouldn't have time to get both of those off versus a shotgun. So then my win condition would have shifted from a body shot melee to it needs to be a headshot. So obviously you only have a split second to identify these things, but you need to be able to do so, because for instance, if that was a shotgun and I played it just like I did here, I definitely would have died, or at least risked dying. So it's very important to be able to determine these things on the fly. And here's an example of this versus a shotgun. So I'm playing a scrim here on Dead Cliffs, and I'm in the mill area here in the back, and I decide to slide into the tunnel here. Well, I immediately realized that this was not the play, and that there are multiple enemies that are already here in the tunnel, and I know since this is a scrim, I know that they all have shotguns. So I'm in a horrible position already. Now, again, I recognize that my only win condition here is my sniper. There's no way I'm gonna primary anyone in here. They all have shotguns, so I'm at a huge disadvantage. So I immediately recognize that once again, and I know I need to use my sniper. And I try to get a headshot on this first one here, but since it's such a hard shot, I wasn't able to, so I have to just go for the body shot and melee, and I get a bit lucky because he's dodging instead of just shotgunning me. So once I get this first one, I'm like, okay, I need to get out of here. I'm lucky to be alive, so I try to slide out, but I sort of whiff it and slide into the wall because I'm a god. So now I'm in an even worse position, and again, my win condition becomes I must snipe someone point blank or I'm gonna die. So again, this is a terrible shot to take with a sniper, but I'm already in a terrible position, so that becomes my only win condition. Now, obviously, most of the time your win condition will just be, okay, I need to primary here or throw a grenade here, but being in a rough situation and a disadvantage and being able to quickly recognize and execute your only win condition is what I think separates the best players from the rest. Obviously, the best players have the best aim as well, but the aim in this game is very forgiving, so that just comes down to time and practice. However, outside of aim, this is, in my opinion, one of the most important things you need to think about and master. And here is something that I notice even more from less experienced players when I do 1v1s or when I'm trying to help coach them, and that's that they don't recognize their loss condition. All the time I'll see players have an advantage versus me, and they'll throw it away by not recognizing their loss condition in the fight. Now the biggest example I have of this occurs with shotguns. The amount of times I've seen someone I'm helping have an enemy one shot or extremely low and then push in and get shotgunned is actually crazy. When you have an enemy weak and you're at full health, you need to understand that the only way you're gonna lose in a straight up gunfight is if you get one shot by something or if you really whiff your shots. So you need to understand that when you're pushing people, you need to understand what could make you lose when you have an advantage. A lot of times it comes down to abilities or special weapons because some of those can one shot or sort of turn the tide into the opponent's favor, but a lot of times it's shotguns. It actually drives me crazy to see somebody that I'm helping and they push someone that's one shot and they just get shotgunned. So when you push someone like this, you need to understand that they're desperate and you're at an advantage. So you need to know that they're gonna try to shotgun you. Sort of like the clips I showed earlier where I had to use my sniper. It would have applied too if I had a shotgun. I just happened to have a sniper. I knew that the only way I was gonna win in those situations was with my special weapon. So shotguns especially, this is super common. I see it all the time. Now, obviously you can't just let people heal, but you need to try to play vertically or throw a grenade or bait them out or slide them outside of the one-shot range of a shotgun. That's what I usually do. I showed something similar to that in my sniper video that I just posted, so feel free to check that out if you haven't seen my sniper guide. I had a similar tip there. You need to understand that when you're sliding against people who have shotguns, you need to slide further away from them so that you can avoid the one-shot range of the shotgun, especially if they're low health and you're at an advantage. That's the only way you're gonna lose, so don't give them that chance to one-shot you. Here's an example from my Twitch stream during trials this past weekend. So I'm pushing along the rock wall here on Jav because I'm trying to flank this guy here. Now, my teammate was also shooting at him and he tells me that this guy is super weak. He's one shot. He only needs one bullet. So as I get closer, I realize by my radar and sort of just by general game knowledge, I understand that, okay, this guy knows I'm here now. I understand that he's one shot and I have a huge advantage, but I also know, just because it's a couple rounds into the game, I know that this guy has a shotgun. So the only way I lose this is if I get one shot by a shotgun. So once I realize that he knows I'm here, I quickly turn and slide backwards out of shotgun range. I'm on a controller, so I couldn't quite whip it back all the way, but I sort of do this awkward slide into the wall, which does the trick, and it gets me out of shotgun range. As you can see, he's not able to one-shot me from this far, and it's just an easy kill for me because I do have a fusion on, so don't judge me. It's rough out there. Now, had I just pushed in and tried to melee him or just shoot him once, I probably would have gotten a shotgun, but even if I didn't, it would have been very risky and it would have turned a very favorable situation into essentially a 50-50 whether I would die or not to a shotgun. So you need to keep that in mind. This is very important. When you're in a fight, you need to understand, one, what is your win condition? These are for more rough situations that you're in where you're at a disadvantage. You need to understand what is the only way you can win this. That's why I snipe personally, because honestly, no matter what happens, I know that in any situation, no matter how bad it is, there's at least a chance I can get out of it if I can hit a headshot up close. No matter what. A lot of times it can be a super, it can be 2 or 3 people. There's always a chance at least, and that's sort of what keeps me sniping, because it's super strong once you get it mastered. Obviously, other weapons can do this as well. Slug shotguns are much easier to do it with. But yeah, obviously it just depends on your kit and what you're using, so keep that in mind. You need to learn and try to identify. It all happens so fast, I know, so it's really hard, but you need to try to at least think, maybe even after the fact, if you die or something, you could be like, what could I have done there? What was the only way that I would have gotten out of that? And when you're in a winning situation, a lot of times, especially against better players are very good at understanding their win condition and turning a bad situation into a good one, like I just said. So when you are in the favorable situation, you need to assume that the other player is going to try to do what they can to get out of it. So maybe that's a throwing knife that will one-shot you, so you need to be aware of that. If they're a hunter, you need to know what class they're on, what guns they're using, all in the split second. So once you can identify those things, I think you'll be much better off. You'll have a much better time, especially against better players. So that's all I have for today. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. Many of you already know this and probably do it without really thinking about it. So hopefully this will sort of bring it to the front of your mind and you'll start to sort of recognize it more and maybe actively think about it. But with that, as always, I appreciate the support and I'll see you next time.